Within 49 out of 50 states, something that will probably never happen again. And then he was thrown out because there were people who were the heroism, the valor, the courage, the self-sacrifice.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, our distinguished guests, friends and neighbors, we are honored to welcome you to our Women Association meet and greet to support Mr. Corey Stewart, the Chairman at Large of the Prince William County Board of Supervisors, and the nominee for Virginia U.S. Senate candidate. We support Corey and ask that you will do the same.
Of my brothers and my sisters from the Republic of Vietnam, the Free Republic of Vietnam. It is a great honor because I am familiar personally familiar with the courage of the Vietnamese in battle, with their determination to defend freedom to the very end. And so I'm always deeply honored to be with you. I'm very pleased to be here with my friends. And so we now have an election between a Democrat and a Republican. Now I know Corey Stewart. Corey Stewart is a man of strength, of boldness, and loyalty. And he will defend the interests of the Vietnamese people to the very best of his ability, and he will be loyal to you. He will not forget you as other people have forgotten you. Corey Stewart is one of the most courageous political figures in the state of Virginia. You find so many people who, they know something is going wrong, they stay silent. It's easy to stay silent. When something is wrong, when some injustice has occurred, Corey Stewart stands up and he speaks out. And I will tell you, this country, you know, we talked about being the home of the brave and the land of the free. And as we become less brave, we become less free. Amen. And this is happening. We need people who have courage, who have strength. Right. Yeah. Right. Corey Stewart is that man. And if Corey Stewart is in the Senate, he will be the man who will take to the floor and who will speak out for the Vietnamese and who will speak out for people like you who have stood for freedom and who have been suppressed by evil forces. And so I give my full endorsement to Corey Stewart. I encourage everyone to get your friends out and to vote for him. He is my friend. I have great respect for him. Corey Stewart, I introduce you to the man who is the
Thanks a lot, Dave. That was better than my speech. Well, what a great crowd here today. And I got to tell you, I'm very, very proud. I'm very, very proud to be here with the Vietnamese American Women's Association. And I want to thank, first of all, let's give a big round of applause to Senator Dick Black. Thank you very much. And of course, all these events, especially one of this size, it takes a lot of work and a lot of organization. For that, we need to thank Matt Truong and Antudo. Please give them a round of applause. So, who wants some really good news? Some really good news? Okay, latest poll. It's the first likely voters poll. We've narrowed the gap. We're within 5 points of defeating Tim Kaine. And you know why we're going to defeat Tim Kaine? Because he's a lousy senator. That's why. He's a lousy senator. Now you can ask a Democrat, you can ask an independent voter, you can ask anybody, even people who know him. In fact, you can ask Tim Kaine this question. Hey Tim, what have you done for the past 6 years? You know what he's going to do? He's going to scratch his head. He's done absolutely nothing. In fact, with Tim Kaine is the only thing, Virginia would have been better off without a United States Senator than having Tim Kaine there. You know why? You know why? Because Tim Kaine votes against President Trump automatically. No. When President Trump proposed a pay raise for our brave men and women in our military, Tim Kaine voted no. When President Trump proposed a modest housing increase for the men and women in our military, especially up here in Northern Virginia and Hampton Roads, where there's a high cost of living, Tim Kaine voted no. When President Trump proposed to decrease our taxes, successfully I might add, Tim Kaine voted no. And when President Trump proposed to put Brett Kavanaugh as the next United States Supreme Court Justice, a man who is going to be a great jurist, a great judge, and even the liberals have said that Brett Kavanaugh is an eminently qualified for the United States Supreme Court. Tim Kaine has said he's voting no. So you know what we have to do? When Tim Kaine comes up for re-election on November 6th, you vote no to Tim Kaine and yes to all of us. Before I begin, now my wife Maria couldn't be here. She's with my goddaughter celebrating her 10th birthday. But I am very, very proud. My oldest son, by the way, is off at college, his first year of college, my son Isaac. But my son Luke is here, and he doesn't normally come to all my events. But he's back there, my son Luke, right there. I'm very, very proud. As some of you might know, Maria and I, we met in East Asia. We met in Japan. I was teaching English. And I saw this beautiful blonde Swedish woman, and I'm like, wow. You know, so that's, we've been married now since 1994 for 24 years. We got 2 kids. And one of the things I've got to do, and I want to do, when we restore a democratic regime, a democratic government to South Vietnam. That is something I want to do.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Hello, Mr. Stewart, Chairman Stewart. I'm counting the time. It's about less than 8 weeks ago to the election day, right?
Yes.
So, can you tell me how it's going with you at this time?
Yeah, well, it's going very positive. The latest poll has me within 5 points of winning. So we're getting very close. We continue to move up in the polls, and it's mostly because, you know, Virginians, they want a U.S. Senator like me, like Corey Stewart, to support President Trump in the United States Senate and support the tax cuts, support the rebuilding of our military, and support the president and putting pressure on Vietnam to improve the human rights in Vietnam.
So, you know, the President Trump people just against him in many ways. So if you been selected, and how do you support him?
Well, I think President Trump needs a lot of support in making even more tax cuts, make the tax cuts permanent. That will help to rebound the American economy, which is coming up. And people also want someone to support President Trump on cracking down on illegal immigration. We need to build the wall of the Mexican border because we as Republicans, President Trump, myself, we support immigration, but it must be lawful. And that is one of the things I will be supporting with him on.
I agree about that, because there are illegal alien and immigration and came in this country. There's so many problems, right?
Yes, it is. And we have so many illegal immigrants coming across the Mexican border who are committing very serious crimes, assaults and murders against American citizens. And that needs to end. And I will be supporting the president in building the wall and deporting illegal immigrants who are committing violent crimes against Americans.
So this afternoon, the Vietnamese people who came here to support you, and tell me, how do you think about that, and what your suggestion to send it to the Vietnamese people who be here today?
Yeah.
And what do you expect from them?
Well, I think that we're getting a lot of support from the Vietnamese community up here in Northern Virginia for my campaign for U.S. Senate. We had over 100 people here today. We have been working very closely with the Vietnamese American community. We're very, very proud. I am very, very proud to have all their support.
What do you expect from them more than that?
Well, if they can help out with my campaign, volunteer, go to my website at CoreyStewart.com. We always need help with people donating money to the campaign, the volunteering, and spreading the word that Corey Stewart, will work with the Vietnamese American community and to support the President of the United States and doing all the great things, rebuilding our military, putting pressure on Vietnam to improve their human rights, of deepening the tax cuts, making even more tax cuts, supporting small businesses, supporting our veterans. Those are all things that I want to work together with all of the Vietnamese community, Vietnamese American community, and with the President of the United States, President Trump.
Thank you very much for sharing with us.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.
Senator Black, we're very happy to see you here when the Vietnamese people gather this afternoon to support Mr. Corey Stewart. And so can you tell us why you're here and what you think about and what you've been doing for the Vietnamese community?
Well, first of all, I love the Vietnamese community. I fought in Vietnam. My blood is on the ground of Vietnam. I have a heart for the Vietnamese people. Several years ago, I brought together top officials of the South Vietnamese government, military, government, police officials, and we constructed the history of the gallant defense that was waged by the South Vietnamese people and how they were betrayed in the end. They had won the war, and it was taken away when President Nixon was overthrown. The Democrats cut off all of the ammunition and all of the supplies to the South Vietnamese. If it had not been for that, South Vietnam today would be like South Korea. It would be a dynamic, thriving place, a wonderful place. But I did everything that I could, and I continue to be intensely loyal to the people of Vietnam. That will never stop. So I'm here today on behalf of Corey Stewart. I remember with a deep bitterness in my heart how the Democratic Party cut off all of the supplies for the Vietnamese, and no matter how valiant, no matter how courageous the South Vietnamese soldiers were, they had nothing to fight with. And that was the only reason. They had won the war, and the Democrats, because they were paid off, because they had personal political gain, they were determined to defeat South Vietnam. I think Corey Stewart is the type of strong individual who will support freedom around the world, who will support the Vietnamese people, who will never be a man who betrays our friends. And he has been a supporter of President Trump. He has supported the tax cuts, which have helped so many Vietnamese businesses. We have the best business climate probably in the last 50 years in this country. And so Corey Stewart has the strength. And we know that if his opponent is reelected, we will have the same thing. We'll have a poor economy. We'll have betrayal of our friends from Vietnam, from all of the other places that have worked so hard with us. So I'm very pleased to be here. I will tell you a little story. When I had been a pilot in Vietnam, and they asked for someone to fight with the infantry. They wanted a pilot to call in airstrikes. And there was a very nice girl. Her name was Ann Mai. Ann Mai, she was just a poor villager. She ran a little shop, but she was a friend of mine, just a friend. And when I told her that I had to go and I had to fight in the bitter fighting up near Da Nang, she walked with me to the barbed wire fence. And the last words she spoke, she said, "You go, I die." And it broke my heart. And when Saigon fell, I had nightmares for days after that about An Mai. So you can tell, my heart is with Vietnam, my heart is with the Vietnamese people and with the Republic of Vietnam. I want freedom for Vietnamese. I want Vietnamese to be able to live outside of tyranny again. So that's why I'm here. I'm here for Corey Stewart. He believes in freedom for the Vietnamese people just as I do.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, and thank you for all the work you've done for the Vietnamese.
Thank you so much. Always happy to do it.
Thank you.
God bless you.